Oh, here she is. Yes, it's me, Timmy Alexis Carrington Ward, on Here She Is, the Prostate Cancer Podcast. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer last October, and what I found helped was seeing people online talking about their story. It really did help me. It prepared me for the journey I've got ahead. So I thought I would do my own version to help, hopefully, somebody else out there who has newly been diagnosed with prostate cancer, or anyone that is still on their journey with prostate cancer. Just, it's my way of giving back. So I hope this helps if you're that one person. You are listening to me, Timmy Alexis Carrington Ward, on the Here She Is Prostate Cancer Podcast. And today we have got OBE's Bob Harris with us. Hi there, Bob. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thanks. How are you?
Oh, I don't know what's happened there. I'm good. Sorry that you're in this club that we're both in.
Yes, it's the Cancer Club, isn't it?
Cancer Club. We're fully paid up members, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
So, I mean, you've had an amazing career, but that's not what we're here for today. We are here today to talk about prostate cancer. So, you were diagnosed back in 2007, is that right?
That's right, yes.
And how did that come about? What made you have the PSA test? Or
I had just a regular blood test at my health centre. And
was that for any reason?
No, I had a problem peeing.
Right.
Nothing serious. I had no obvious sign that anything was wrong. But my wife truly suggested that maybe it might be an idea just to make sure I'm okay. And so I popped in, had a blood test, really didn't think any more about it at all.
When you say peeing, as in interrupted peeing, going in the night a lot, what was your...
Going in the night a lot.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So...
I need this. Listen, because I've been through this, and I know that I listened and I hung on to everybody's words that were speaking on this to know, do you know what I mean? Just to get it completely right. So you were weeing a lot through the night.
Yeah, again, nothing more serious than, it wasn't anything I was taking any notice of, to be absolutely honest. It was Trudy that was saying, maybe we should just get... So anyway, I went in and had a blood test, and we were doing a gig on the 2nd of February at the Borderline. It was the launch of an compilation album that I put together. And we were walking through Soho on the way, and my son Miles called me and said, I just had it. Miles he would have been 14 at the time. And he said, we've just had a call from John Radcliffe Hospital. They want you to call them straight away because there's a problem. And Miles said, what's going on? And I said, I've no idea. So we got to the venue, and the manager there kindly let us go into the office and somewhere private. And I called John Radcliffe, and they said, we found something in your blood test. Your PSA reading is quite high. Can you come in and see us first thing on Monday morning? And I said, no. I said, I'm just not ready for any of this. So I had to sort of get my brain around it. And eventually I got directed towards a chap called Roger Kirby, who was one of the top people in Britain. And it was there then my PSA was going through the roof. It was originally, when we first took it, was 22, and by now it's gone up to 34. And when I had my what do they call it? Biopsy. They run this thing, don't they, where they take 10 little samples from your prostate, and then they analyze which of those have got cancer in them. And so that out of 10, it's 5 on one side and 5 on the other.
Yeah.
So if every one of these little swabs, as it were, are cancerous, you're given a score of 10 out of 10. It's called the Gleason score, and mine was 9. So we obviously had a big problem on our hands. So
Oh,
yeah,
really?
I
Well,
went into,
do you know what? We're so alike. I was 56, I'm 57 now. When when I had my PSA was um 6, but because I was on thin asteride, which is for keeping your hair in, that doubles to 12. But I was the same age as you, and my Gleason was a Gleason 9 as well. So
yeah,
that's where I'm at. So just going back to your PSA, this is like almost 20 years ago. So is that how far back they were obviously doing them? Were they not as good as they are now? I mean, that's a miracle in itself, really, that you got.
yeah. No, I mean, I just surrendered. At that point, I surrendered to the process. I went into a major 2 month course of radiotherapy. I stepped back from it. I was doing my programs on radio too.
Yeah.
I stepped back for 3 months altogether. The last session I did, I remember it before I took the break, was with Joe Bonamassa. And so, yeah, and then I just surrendered to the process, had 3 months of, 28 days of radiotherapy, 3 months off. And it sorted things. Then I had,
Were you not offered a prostatectomy?
I was,
Did you have a prostatectomy?
no, no,
And do you know, I mean, what was your decision for not having a prostatectomy?
because I just thought it was too invasive and too drastic. And I didn't want to have it, and that was it. So I just felt that the National Health trying to fast track men into having an operation rather than seriously discussing other options. Because with an operation, once you've had the operation, that's it. You're the National Health system can say, right, we've sorted you, that's it. Whereas if you don't have an operation, the chances are that you're going to be having ongoing treatment, and that's more expensive. I don't blame the National Health for kind of steering people in that direction, but it's the direction I didn't want to go in. I just felt that having done some research, I just thought that the potential for complication afterwards was just, I don't know, it just felt the finality of it was what bothered me. And I just thought, I don't want to have ongoing problems. Um, you know, the possibility of catheters and all that sort of stuff. It just didn't feel right to me.
Right.
So that was my decision.
I went down the prostatectomy avenue. But what I want to ask about you then is, do you know what they call it T1, T2, T3? Did you have an MRI to see where it had got to? Had it stayed in the prostate?
It had stayed in the prostate, yeah, at that point, yes.
Right. And oh, I see. So that is staying in the prostate. They've said to you, you've had your biopsy, which isn't the most pleasant of experiences.
No,
I'll just explain. It's just like it's like a dildo, isn't it? Sort of going in to show where, with an ultrasound, isn't it? To show where the prostate is. And then they put injections. Well, the injection goes in your undercarriage and takes out those cells. And like you say, they mark it with 5 and 5. And it depends as well, doesn't it? If the 5 is in front, that means it's more cancerous than if it's behind. Mine was 4+5. So yours must have been quite similar to that.
yeah, yeah.
So
It was
how?
it was
Oh,
it was hilarious because I was I felt like man, I feel like a woman. I'd been asked to get into this kind of contraption. I was akimbo, and
yeah,
my legs apart,
it is
and
like a smear test for a lady, I suppose.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So the chap who was in charge of everything had his back to me during the. He was getting everything ready. He was preparing things for. And he hadn't said anything to me. Basically, I'd gone into the room. He'd said, get undressed. And so there I was. And at this point, finally, he turns around and he walks towards me. And the very, very first thing he says to me is, "Oh, by the way, I loved Little Feet on the old grey whistle test." So that was the opener. I went, "Oh my God!" But at least it was lighthearted. But the when we came out of the examination, Trudy was there waiting in the waiting room. And when I walked towards her, she could see on my face, our faces, that this was a really serious moment. So it was, to start with, this was very, very difficult. But as I say, then everything seemed to, the radiotherapy seemed to do its job. And for probably, I would say, a couple of years, you could say I was more or less cancer free. I was seeing an oncologist it was firstly every month, then every 3 months, then every 6 months, and everything seemed to be going well at that point. So
okay, let's take a break now while you've got your legs in the stirrups, and we'll come back.
yes.
Oh, here she is. Don't forget to donate to our Just Giving page, either up here or down here in the link. It all is going for a good cause. Prostate Cancer UK. I said it. You are listening to me, Timmy Alexis Carrington Ward, on Here She Is on the Prostate Cancer Podcast. And we have got the old grey whistle test presenter here, Bob Harris. So, Bob, we've been talking about your journey, and we've got you having your PSA, which was 22, but then went up to 34. You had a biopsy. You've had your scans. Did you have a PET scan at all, or was it just the MRI and the CT scan? Can you remember?
Not yet. No, that came later.
Right. Okay. Because I had my PET scan before I had the prostatectomy, I suppose, because otherwise there would be no point in taking out the prostate. I was saying earlier how we were the same age and sort of the same diagnosis, actually. How did it feel being told you had, because you did have aggressive prostate cancer? How did that make you feel at that young age? We were a decade too young, really, for it.
Yes, the C word is so emotive.
Yeah.
I mean,
And especially back 20 years ago, because it's come on a lot since then. But 20 years ago, it must have been really frightening, no?
It really was. But that wasn't the most frightening moment, actually, to be honest, because then as time went by, I was seeing a wonderful oncologist called Heather Payne. And Heather was not just my oncologist, she became a friend, and we talked, and she was like a counselor as well.
Yeah.
And I went to visit her. Well, she phoned me up and said, after one of my appointments, she said, could you pop in to see a colleague of mine? She knew I was coming up to London on this Monday. I was going into Radio 2. I got my son Dylan with me, and we were going in to do a session with Dave Stewart and to pre-record my weekend show. And she said, just stop off at Devonshire Street on your way in. There's somebody that needs to have a word with you. So Dylan and I stopped off at this clinic, and I went into this room, which, they're usually white, aren't they? Strip lights. And
Yeah.
So this chap had a big screen up, and he said, just come over here a second, I need to show you something. And it was, I think it must have been, it's quite some time ago now, but I think it was a sort of close-up of my prostate. And there was I remember this big white dot in the middle of it all. And he said, suddenly we've got a serious problem, and we need to get you in this week to hospital to sort it. And I said, well, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit busy at the moment. I've got a show to do today. And he said, you don't understand, Bob. This is a serious moment. That was the time that we really were scared stiff. I remember phoning into Radio 2, my producer, Mark Simpson, to say I'm not going to be able to come in today. And then driving home, obviously, I phoned Trudy. Then I was with Dylan, but our other kids, Miles and Flo, everybody met us in the drive when I got back. And outside the house, we were all in tears. It was, that was the moment I really was scared stiff that something was going to happen now. So
I don't think as well.
In everything, that was the worst moment.
I
Yeah,
don't think as much as before this, if you think about it, there's nothing, is there, like it from just landing in the middle of it and it becomes so real. And I
yeah,
don't know about you as well, sitting in there, they tell you you've got aggressive prostate cancer. And then they rush you through to the Macmillan nurses and things like that. It's like, I just need to go outside and breathe. This is just like a movie, isn't it? It's just, you cannot believe the words that are coming. And actually the words that you're saying as well. I was saying, okay, so if it has spread, how long would I have all of this business? It just goes mad, doesn't it? And I, like I was saying, I don't think anyone can really comprehend it until it's absolutely there. It just turns your world upside down, doesn't it?
well, what happens is you lose control of your life. Suddenly, you have to surrender completely to the process. That's how I see it now. It's the way I've always explained it to myself. Surrendering to the process. You just have to let go of the whole of the rest of your life. Oh gosh, hang on a second. Sorry, there's somebody trying to phone me. Somebody important as well.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I know. Wait. I will kill it, but I'll have to get back to her.
Okay.
Yeah. So right, my controller at Radio 2, actually, Helen Thomas. So
Yeah, because you're in
yes,
great demand still, aren't you?
yeah, that's the thing. Losing control, and you're sitting there listening to everybody talking about you, and the language that they're using in itself is very frightening often.
Yeah.
So
They're
there was
horrible
that.
words describing it, aren't they? Like aggressive or just all
Yeah,
of those words are just absolutely awful, awful
yes,
word.
yes,
But I tell you what, for me, as a young boy who I remember sitting in class worrying about having cancer and dying. But I was then walking my dog during this process because I think one of the worst parts of it is the waiting, isn't it? To know exactly what you've got and how you're going to deal with it. But in that time, I was walking my dog Bosley, and I thought, okay, what's going on here? Um, if I live, if I die from this, I've still got to die. Basically, nobody gets out of here alive, do they? So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I think very similarly to you, it was like, I've just got to go with it. This is still my life and I've got to live it and go with the flow, and whatever happens, happens.
yes. I mean, I'm actually not scared of dying because that just you just die. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the. I am scared of being very ill in the lead up and having a
Right.
lengthy illness in the lead up to dying. That's always bothered me. And with the cancer, that was what I was thinking. Right, how does how does the future look between now and when I pass away? As it happens, I came through that moment. Um, I'm still here, sort of thing. It was difficult, but I had
I mean, two
an operation.
decades later, still here.
Yeah, I had an
Which, can
operation
I
to
just say,
do.
Bob, for me, you doing this, if I'd found you online doing this, it would have been amazing for me, being completely in the same situation. I think it's so good to keep telling your story about these sorts
Yes,
of things, isn't it? I'm sorry, I
it
interrupted.
is. Yeah, no, but yes, the procedure I had, I went into hospital, and at that time, then I was very fortunate because I I've got my studio here at the bottom of the garden, and so on the following morning, Tuesday morning, I went. I thought I'm going to go down to. I was in a real state, knowing that I had to go into hospital later that week. I wasn't quite sure what the outcome was going to be. I walked round the corner and my studio came into sight, and I absolutely fell apart. I really did. I dropped to the ground. I thought, I'm never going to see my studio again. What's going to happen? I needed to call somebody, and I called my friend Robert Plant from, he's the lead singer of Led Zeppelin, and Robert and I've been friends for years. And it was funny because I called him, and the phone went. Bleh, bleh. I knew he was abroad somewhere, so he answered the phone. I said, "Where are you?" He said, "I'm standing by the Colosseum in Rome." I said, "I've got a big problem, Robert. Can you talk?" He said, "Give me half an hour. I'll go back to the hotel, and I'll call you when I get there. And half an hour later, he called me back. Said, right, talk me through everything. And he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. From then on, he said, right, I'm going to be in touch with you all the time, make sure you're okay. He would call me, he'd be saying, just getting on a plane in Paris to fly to Berlin, everything all right with you? And I go, yeah, fine. I'll call you when we touch down, get to the other end, he'd call me again. And through the time that I was taking this next lot of intensive treatment, Robert was just calling me multiple times a day to check that I was okay. This support meant the world and was really important in steering me through. So when I got the all clear, which I did do about 3 months later, Robert said, right, you don't need me anymore. And, we went back to it being normal, that we would
Yeah.
just be in touch every now and again. But his support and having somebody to really talk to, because Robert's a bit involved in helping with cancer research. And so he really did know what he was talking about. It was vital to have somebody at the other end of the line that I could talk to.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Let's take a break there. Oh, here she is. Don't forget to donate to our Just Giving page, either up here or down here in the link. It all is going for a good cause. Prostate Cancer UK. I said it. You are listening to me, Timmy Alexis Carrington Ward, on Here She Is on the Prostate Cancer podcast. And today I have got Whispering Bob. But we're not whispering about this subject, we're shouting out because we want people to go and have their PSAs done. Bob, you were talking about there, speaking to your friend Robert, who absolutely, can't deny, was there for you. And I think if there had to be a plus in all of this is, I mean, you get a bit emotional, don't you? But just all the people that come together and
Yeah.
support you and get you through this is just amazing. And I have, like yourself, had that support, and that is just such. It's very important, isn't it, to be supported, as you were saying with you and
It
Rob.
really is. Yeah. It's very difficult for the immediate family around you.
Yeah.
But obviously their support is vital. But for me at that moment to have Robert, to be able to talk to him on an absolute regular basis and open my heart, it was so important to me. And then for quite some time, everything was pretty much everything was good. I mean, I got transferred from August, I beg your pardon, May 2019. On the 31st of May 2019, I had an aortic dissection, which is your aorta bursts basically. The aorta is the big vein, if you like, that comes out of your heart and comes down the center of your body. And the way I look at it is like the M1 of the body system, because it's sending blood to all parts of the body. And if there's something wrong with the aorta, then the consequence of that can be extremely severe. In fact, a lot of people don't survive aortic dissections. If you have a grade A, the chances are you're not going to survive it. The survival rates are very low. If you have a grade B, there's a much greater chance that you are going to survive it, but it could really, really mark your life forever from then on. I was very, very lucky. I had a type B. I survived it, and I've survived it without massive impact on my body. I really, really am lucky. It took me quite a long time, months to recover, but once I did, my recovery level was much higher than a lot of other people experience. So I got involved with the Aortic Dissection Charitable Trust, ADCT, which is part of my life now. There were four of us that founded the charity. But so during the time, during the time that I was incapacitated, we discovered that my cancer was activating again.
But those two things aren't associated, are they?
No, they're not. But they are in so much as I couldn't, while I was being treated for my dissection, we couldn't keep up with the treatment for my cancer.
Right.
So for 3 months, at exactly the time that my cancer was getting serious, becoming serious again, we couldn't treat it. So at this point, Heather handed me over to Costi Alifrangis, who is my oncologist now, because he was a specialist in working with you when the cancer has got out of the prostate, which is
Right.
what now had happened to me. I was
That
getting this,
explains it because I was wondering how that would have progressed. And so that is
yeah.
the reason why.
So I had to go with Costi because he then was a specialist in fields that Heather wasn't a specialist in. But we couldn't get a grip of any of this until I was well enough after my dissection, by which time the cancer had really got a bit of a hold.
Yeah.
So we now had another one of these moments on our hands where we had to fight to bring the cancer back. And successfully, we managed it until now.
Right.
And this last, so I, it's amazing how these cards fall together and what. So in March this year, we discovered that I got a heart problem, and I was still working, and I managed to get through the burst of work that I had at that point. But then, so I was hosting the country to country festival at the O2. That finished on the Sunday, and on the Tuesday, I went into hospital to discover that I was on the front end of a heart failure, and also to discover that my cancer had reactivated again, exactly the same timing. So I did have a burst of radiotherapy just to put it all on hold. But then I was 2 weeks in the John Radcliffe Hospital here in Oxford to get my heart problem back under control, during which time my cancer has now become a big problem. And
That's the size, isn't it?
that's exactly where we are at the moment. I'm having a course of intravenous radiotherapy, which I began last month. I'm having a course every 6 weeks. And at the moment, obviously, we're hoping and we're thinking that this will do the trick. But at the moment, we're not sure. So, funnily enough, this morning, literally, the reason I was a bit late on the podcast was that I have a nurse who comes in here every month to do a blood test on me. And we're hoping that the PSA reading will go down this time. If it doesn't, I don't know where we are. But so I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Okay. Can I just take you back to your first radiotherapy that you had? Did you have radiotherapy and the hormone tablets?
Yes.
Can you tell me how that feels? Having the radiotherapy for starters. How does that feel in your body?
I found the radiotherapy then and now actually not too bad. The hormones are a bit of a drag because you know, you're putting female hormones into yourself. So I just describe myself as being menopausal. just I'm menopausal because they throw your emotions, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
So 1 minute you're feeling fine, and then the next minute I walk into the kitchen and I burst into tears.
You sound like my
It's just
mum.
all over the place. Yeah, well, I mean, it's a feel. I do honestly completely identify with women having the menopause because I think that's the way that you feel. Mm, hormone treatment is a big kick.
Yeah,
Genuinely, it really is. So, yeah.
there you go. Well, let's have a break.
Oh, here she is. Don't forget to donate to our Just Giving page, either up here or down here in the link. It all is going for a good cause. Prostate Cancer UK. I said it.
You are listening to me, Timmy Alexis Carrington Ward, on the Prostate Cancer Podcast, and we have got a journalist who can broadcast. I believe that's what you say about yourself, isn't it?
It's what Mike Appleton, the producer of Whistle Test, defined me as when he was looking for a presenter of the Old Grey Whistle Test all those years ago. I was a journalist who could broadcast, yeah.
There you go. But anyway, let's get back to prostate cancer. So we're now up to date, and you are on an intravenous radiotherapy, did you say?
Yes.
Was that was back in the day? That wasn't what you were on. You had the
No, it's a drug called lutetium. It's quite high tech, apparently. It's also heavily radioactive. So
right.
if I would in an airport now, I would trigger all the security systems. I literally would. I'm sure if I was in the dark room, I would glow because
Did you have the PET scan before you this time round then? Because they put
yes.
radioactive stuff in you there, don't they?
That's
I've had
right.
that as
Yeah.
well. And you
So
have
it
to
goes
sit in a room.
yeah, you're in. Yeah, you have a cannula, and it all goes in the cannula.
Yeah.
And I'm in a sealed room. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Other things, we were talking about having your friends, and you had Robert and things. With my friends, they came up with some really good things of when you do look on the internet. I know it's the worst thing to do anyway, but a friend of mine said all that information that was 20 odd years ago is still there. They don't ever get rid of it because with prostate cancer in the last 10 years, it's come on leaps and bounds and they've doubled life expectancy. So that's something for anybody looking up. I don't recommend looking up stuff, but when you're looking up, it's old data is still on there, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that I've been very lucky. You probably feel the same that the technology of the treatment has just kept ahead of
It's
where you are with
amazing.
your cancer. That's certainly the case with me. It's really got to stand a big test at the moment, I have to say, because again, we're in a situation. My PSA reading is going through the roof, and we really do have to pull it back this time. And again, with this little gap in treatment from when I discovered I had this heart problem, well, we sorted that out. So my heart is now strong enough to take this new round of radiotherapy. But this gap of 3 months has given the cancer a real good opportunity to get itself established.
Yeah.
And I've even got some cancer in my head now,
All right.
which is very weird because it goes into the bones.
Yeah.
So I couldn't believe I had cancer in my head, but of course your head is bony. I've got bone here.
Right. Yeah.
It's not going to affect my brain, I'm told, and I won't get headaches. But it's just there, and just that in itself is it feels weird,
Do they put you back on? Do they put you back on? Are you back on the hormone tablets?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that apparently stops it dead in its tracks, doesn't it?
Yes, in theory, but yes, in my case, no. It really does need more sort of high. What's the word I'm after? But high pressure intervention.
Okay. But also my surgeon said with prostate cancer, he was saying when I say it's aggressive, it's prostate cancer aggressive. So it is a different sort of cancer from most. And there are so many treatments, aren't there? And it's coming fast and furious now. He actually even said it should almost be downgraded to living with a chronic disease. That's what he said anyway. But you've done really well on it, haven't you? 20 years.
Yes, I mean that absolutely 2007 to now, and I'm 80 years old. So I've had a good innings.
You're an inspiration to somebody like me. Like I said, having that diagnosis I'm back to yourself from that age. That's where I'm starting my journey. So having you talking to you has just been amazing. But you've talked about it. You've come to terms with it. You're going with it. There's treatments. How are you now, this minute?
I'm okay. I mean, I've got used to dealing with this, if that's quite the right way of putting it, in terms of, I can't let it. There was one very important moment in the first round of treatment when I was having that first set of radiotherapy. And you don't notice it to start with. It's the impact of the radiotherapy on you and how you feel and on your life is cumulative, but you don't feel it probably for the first 2 or 3 weeks. I didn't feel mine at all for the first 2 or 3 weeks. And then I began to feel tired in particular. It builds, doesn't it? And the impact of it is bigger just after it finishes, and then it tapers off, and then a few weeks later you're back to normal. So I was probably about 5 or 6 weeks in, and I was beginning to feel really, really tired and low. And I remember I was in bed. I'd come home after one of the sessions. I'd gone straight to bed. I was propped up. I was watching TV, and Nigella Lawson was on, and she was making Rocky Road.
As you do.
And my son Dylan came into the room, snuggled in with me, propped himself up. We were watching TV, and I said, I could make. I was feeling so awful. I felt like all I wanted to do was pull the duvet over my head, and I felt like I was drowning, honestly. And so I said to Dylan, I could make Rocky Road, and he said, "Don't be ridiculous. I don't cook."
Right.
So I said, "You know what, Dylan? But when you come home from school tomorrow, I will have made Rocky Road for you and Flo." And it gave me an incentive. It was the turning point. I thought, I'm going to go into our local shop. I'm going to get the ingredients. I'm going to look it up. And I can't tell you, it was such a turning point. I thought, I cannot let this moment drown me. I just can't. I've got to swim back to the surface, come back up and breathe the air and get myself going again. And honestly, that was the turning point. And I've learned from that ever since. Every time that I feel that I'm not feeling quite right, I just say to myself, right, don't let this drown you. You've got to come back up to the surface, breathe the air and just go again. This is a phrase I use a lot. We go again. You may feel down today, but you wake up tomorrow morning and you go again. So I just feel like the message I have for people in our similar situation is always try to be the best version of yourself that you possibly can. You may feel rubbish, but just try really hard to keep yourself going. And that is a huge way of fighting and keeping going, basically. Just keep going, we
Bob,
go again.
That is so lovely, and I will take that on board personally. So thank you so much. Honestly, you look great. You breathe in and you keep going, aren't you?
That's it, exactly that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bob. All that's left for me to say to you is all the best and cheery bye.
Cheery bye. Bye-bye.
Oh, here she is. Don't forget to donate to our Just Giving page, either up here or down here in the link. It all is going for a good cause. Prostate Cancer UK. I said it.
You said it.